morning and welcome back. This is Maryland Morning with Sheila Cast on 88.1. I'm Tom Hall. Glad you're with us this morning. And this morning I'm at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum near the Inner Harbor here in Baltimore. They've got a terrific exhibition called Material Girls, Contemporary Black Women Artists. It's curated by Dr. Michelle Joan Wilkinson. She is the Director of Collections and Exhibitions, and she's here with me this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
And we are joined by Maya Freelon Asante. She's from Baltimore. She's one of the 8 artists whose work is exhibited in the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
So thanks to both of you for walking us through this exhibition. So, Michelle, you put this together of 8 different artists. What's the sort of main organizing principle?
The main principle is really looking at the works of black women over generations. This exhibition, it's in 2011, so it's a 21st century exhibition, but many of the artists are using processes and ideas from previous generations of women's art making, quilt making, basket weaving, that type of thing. But the works that you'll see are definitely contemporary and of this century, using very unexpected materials.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's called Material Girls, and these materials for each of the artists are really extraordinary. We're looking at a piece here by Shakaya Booker, and this seems to be made out of old tires.
Exactly. This piece is called Phobic Digression, and it's by Shakaya Booker, and it's completely made of recycled rubber tires. As you can see, she's nailed the tires in a very inventive form, so it has a look of a kind of extraterrestrial type of shape. It's a large sculpture about maybe 10 feet tall in the shape of an X, and she's just really a marvel at being able to work with something that is so difficult to manipulate, but when you look at it, she makes it look very easy.
And there's another piece here by Martha Jackson Jarvis. It's called Crossroads Trickster 1, 2, 3. There are 3 sort of large sort of cone-shaped things that are made out of, I guess, is it rocks or some specially treated rock?
This is brick, actually, from the Carolinas, and what Martha Jackson Jarvis is doing is incorporating bricks that she's hammered into with pieces of carnelian stone. So it's a very earthy work where you can see the 3 large pillars that are really meant to symbolize a crossroads between nature and a more kind of manicured sculpture.
And we're out here in the sort of the atrium right next to the large exhibition hall, and there's a third piece here by one of the folks joining us this morning, Maya Freelon Asante, and it's just stunning. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that are hanging from the ceiling. Very colorful, very bright. And what are these made out of, Maya?
These are actually called tissue ink monoprints, and I actually developed the process utilizing bleeding tissue paper and making different types of prints on different types of paper. And I combine them in a kind of sculptural, three-dimensional way. And it's called Keep Your Head Up because my grandmother always told me to always keep your eyes to the sky. And it's really a tribute to her. And it comes out of the tradition of collage and quilt making.
Well, as we walk into the exhibition hall now, Maya, I want to have you tell us about some of your other pieces that are on display here. But you work, it seems like, all the time, or most of the time, with tissue paper. That's a really interesting material to choose. How did you come to start using that?
You know, I've been working with it for the past 5 years, and during graduate school, I actually lived with my grandmother, and she saved a lot of different things for me and always was thinking about my art process and what I might be able to use. So I was always searching in her basement and looking for new things. And one day I found tissue paper that was folded over and water had leaked on it and left a really beautiful and intricate stain. From that, I actually used the stained water to make the monoprints and used the paper that left the stain to create these tissue quilts. And this piece is called Gestation, which represents the 9 months of pregnancy, and then the final piece kind of lifting off on its own. So I recently had a child, and it's really dedicated to him.
We just met him in the lobby. He's a beautiful 5-month-old little guy, and he's in great shape. And this is a beautiful, beautiful piece. And then there's another one here that's called, well, tell us what this is called. It's like a bunch of concentric circles of beautiful colored tissue paper.
Yes, when you come to the Reginald Lewis Museum, you'll see that they have an image of this on the wall, so you'll know we're there. It's actually called time lapse, and it's tiny bits of tissue paper brought together in a quilt-like formation to almost look like when you cut a tree open and you see the rings of time and space. And I actually created this with two of my interns as almost like a quilting bee. Together we pieced each little piece together and wound it up.
So when you start with the tissue paper, is it blank, is it white, and then you color each piece, or do you find materials that's pre-colored? How do you do that?
Each piece is colored, and if you come around and look over here, you'll be able to see that the original tissue paper sizes in IMU hanging on the wall, and then they go through their own process of breaking down into the quilts, and then this is the smallest form of just tiny little bits coming together in time lapse.
Because did it surprise you as you were putting this together, Michelle, the different materials that these artists chose? Because they're really some remarkable things. I mean, we saw tires. There's one with plastic bags. There's one with sort of petrified rocks and wood, and there's all sorts of different materials.
I can't say that I was surprised because I was so excited about the ways African American women artists were working with materials, and that was really the impetus for bringing the show together. I thought, what would it look like to see these materials in conversation? So Maya's using materials that are seemingly very fragile, but she also talks about how when she unites them, they kind of have a strength, and that talks about resilience as well. And then there are other artists, as we talked about outside, that are using very durable, very hard, harsh materials, but they're also so organic. So there were wonderful stories and narratives that these materials were telling, and I was interested in sharing that with our visitors here at the Reginald Lewis Museum.
And Maya, as you walk through this exhibition, where your work is put, as Michelle says, in conversation with everybody, and we're going to head down to see some work down towards the end of the exhibition hall, are you getting any interesting ideas, and what do you think about seeing your work put in juxtaposition with, for example, we're standing now in front of some work by an artist named Sonia Clark, all of which is put together with combs, little like 6-inch black combs that you would have in your purse or your wallet.
I am so honored to be exhibiting with these amazing artists. They're artists I grew up learning about and studying, and so to be included in an exhibition of this nature is just amazing, and I'm glad that Dr. Wilkinson included me here. It's inspirational, and it's also motivational for the students and everybody who comes to visit the museum, so I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Wilkinson and Maya Freelon Asante. I really appreciate your coming by.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.